Okay, just a very quick video here. I've been working on Edward Leedskalnin's timeline and just want to run it by everybody really quick and see if I've missed anything, see if there's any better sources I could put in, any of that. If you could throw it down in the comments below, that'd be great. I'll just run through really quick. 1887, Ed's born. His mother's name is she's also the mother of a number of other children. 1910, 1911, somewhere in there. Earlier, Ed falls in love. They actually make it to the church. His love's not able to say her vows. She takes off. Somewhere around 1910, 1911, Ed leaves Latvia after this wedding. 1912, March 23rd, Ed leaves Hamburg, Germany on the SS Pennsylvania. April 6th, Ed arrives in New York. Ed enters into the States. Reuben Moser settles into Florida City. This is the land that Reuben Moser settled on. Possibly the boat that Edward Leedskalnin was on when he came. In 1915, Ed writes his last letter to the girl that left him at the altar, and also apparently this is the last time he receives any letters from anyone else from Latvia. He doesn't hear from his family or anyone after this year. 1915. 1916, Ed purchases some land. 1917, Ed fills out his draft registration. 1918, it's two different accounts. Ed meets Mr. Moser. He goes back, meets the family. Another account is that Ed is found in a weakened state, picked up by a passerby. Ed stays at the home of somebody else rather than Moser, and he regains his strength, and then he meets Mr. Moser. 1920, Ed lists himself as living in Reedsport, Oregon. Ed also, in April, sells the recent land that he purchased in Oregon to Johnny Rowe. In 1922, Ed purchases a piece of land, another piece of land. The same year, Ed's older brother Otto wins 16 acres of land back in homeland where Ed left. At this point, Ed must be working on his home, soon to be called Ed's Place. 1923, Homestead Enterprise reports that Ed purchased 1 acre of land from Reuben Moser, 209 by 210 square. February 30th, Ed withdraws his offer. March 11th, Ed's mum passes away. September 22nd, a new subdivision is announced in the Miami Herald. Month unknown, I think possibly Ed found out about his mother's death. I don't know. Ed becomes distant, discontinues all work on the expansion of the tower he was building for Suite 16. December 7th, 1923, Ed purchases a larger plot from Reuben Moser for $12. This plot measures 330 by 150, and then Ed continues work on his home and officially names it Ed's Place. Same year, Ed finishes his wall around his acre with not much care or effort, digs his well deeper, starts carving furniture. This is when the first rocker was carved and all that stuff. (1924) February, Reuben Moser passes away, but not long after Ed bought the land off of him. (1925), I guess that's when this photo shows up. Ed shows off his pine reel that he used to move the repentance corner. In November, Ed's land is surveyed and recorded without his knowledge. Also in this year, Ed makes the twin beds in the cradle. (1928), Ed carves a star. It's said that Ed broke the first 2 obelisks. But eventually carved and raised the star. That's all Ed called it. The beginning was the star. (1930), Ed still not raised the obelisk. Photos show the foundation for Suite 16. Other photos show walls and everything completed. Carving's begun on the moon fountain. There's still no crescent seat for the moon fountain. Stairwalls completed. Sun couch is finished. The repentance corner is not finished. There is no repentance corner here yet. I'll have to change that. 1932, Ed is nearly finished. That's what the newspaper says. Ed's also got a radio aerial going from the obelisk star to the moon at this point in time in 1932. He's got the repentance corner finished, he's got the crescent finished, he's got this star piece finished. In the background you can see that he's got the seat for the moon fountain finished, crescent. Obelisk is raised, whatever this is, built. 1934, Ed posts a document in the paper titled "To All Concerned." He states his land was surveyed and recorded in the land register without his knowledge. He requests the listing be terminated and no public street, avenue, alley, or road be opened that could affect his property. This year also, apparently, Ed gets beaten and put into the hospital. After the beating, Ed reveals plans that he was going to enlarge Ed's place, but now he's not. There's also an article in American Weekly Incorporated, which was probably put out before Ed got beaten, and it actually quotes Ed saying, "I do it the same way the old..." It quotes Ed saying, "I do it the same way the old Egyptians built their pyramids." It's the first time I've seen the actual quote when Ed was still alive, where he mentioned the pyramids and the Egyptians. This is a picture of the In Search Of video. It shows when the thugs came in and beat up Ed. This is taken at Rock Gate, and the beating actually took place at Ed's place. In 1935, a number of newspapers run an article that pokes fun at Ed for waiting for his bride, saying she'll never show up because every wife likes to be able to rearrange the furniture. They also crudely state that someone should break the news to him that his bride is not coming. 1936, Ed releases A Book in Every Home. Ed publishes it himself and poses with another book in his hand with the same title. Also, Ed may have carved the second crescent seat for the moon fountain at this time, because it wasn't long after that he moved, and I believe both seats came from the same quarry as Ed's place. I could be wrong. 1937, Ed pays $10 for 10 acres of land from bankrupt owner J.W. Boone. Ed tells Orville, Bob Biggers, and a couple others he's got plans on moving. In 1938. By this time, Ed's probably got a lot of the property cleared. He's probably got his wooden shack set up. And he's getting ready to move all his large stones over from Ed's place. In 1939, the obelisk's moved, moon's moved, moon fountain's moved, all this stuff is moved. They're all transported by a truck and trailer. Trailer's got solid rubber tires. 1939, the same year, Ed finishes moving everything. And he also begins to carve new pieces, possibly. 1940, Ed fills out his declaration of intention to become a naturalized citizen of the USA. Also, the telescope is carved and raised. 1941, Ed's father passes away. Also, the sundial was probably assembled in 1941. 1942, I believe, was the year when Darren Nemeth's video was actually filmed, and then it took a couple years before it was produced. So either 1942, late 1942, maybe a bit into 1943. And in January of 1942, Ed fills out his petition. Video showing Ed raising the women's blocks is made. In 1943, Nikola Tesla passes away. Ed places a chevron crowning his achievement. That's my guess. 1943. Ed shows Fred, the guy that worked in the junkyard, some of his achievements, how he achieved them. Grabs a number of V-magnets scrapped from some Model T cars. Ed begins his real in-depth experiments. 1943. 1944. See by this picture, all the walls are done. Living quarters are probably done. Stuff growing back here. 1944, in May, Ed becomes a naturalized citizen. Ed applies for U.S. citizenship after a visit from the FBI. Around this time, Ed also bought an expensive mattress. In 1945, Ed puts out the book Magnetic Current in August. October the same year, Mineral, Vegetable, and Animal Life was published. In 1946, Ed puts out a number of ads. He also creates the sun door. For this, in 1942, the sun door had a different message on it. After doing some experiments, it painted a diagram on the door. In 1947, it seems Ed stopped selling all of his books. Nobody knows how many originals were originally sold. In 1948, by that time the highway came through, all that stuff was dealt with. It's expanded. (1950) Harry Leedskalnin contacts Ed by mail, claiming he's kin, he's related. He was a prisoner of war in Germany. He now resides in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He comes out, hangs out with Ed for a few days. Before he leaves, Ed gives him some money. And that was that. Not long after, October 9th, after not speaking with any of his family for so long, Ed writes a letter to his brother Otto. He also sends a couple photographs to him that weren't released to general public. No one knows what this letter was about. 1951, Ed heads out to the hospital, and he never comes back. This is in November 9th, he heads off to the hospital. December 7th, passes away. December 12th, he's buried. A little after that, Ed's living quarters are completely ransacked. All the grounds are ransacked. Anything that can be moved is stolen. Surprisingly, the bike was left behind. 1952. It's when you hear about the court battles, number of people showing up claiming that they're related to Ed. Ed left a large amount of money behind. People started coming out of the woodwork. By 1953, Rockgate's on the market. A number of people are interested in purchasing. Julius Levin ends up buying it. In 1954, the newspapers are back at Rockgate. Julius is trying to get tourists in. They post a number of photos in the newspaper, and it shows that actually some of Ed's machinery is still set up for the most part. There's a number of pieces missing, but not everything was stolen. Around this time, Julius Levin probably began publishing Ed's books again. Probably around the same time where all the statistics came out at the back of a book in every home. 1955, anyone coming to Rockgate, they don't believe that it was just one man that did it. So Julius Levin asked for some help, and this woman here actually went out and gathered a number of sworn statements from people who actually knew Ed and witnessed him working, and all said that he did work alone. In 1956, Edward Leedskalnin passes away. Soon after, the name from Rockgate is changed to Coral Castle. This is probably when the new books began circulating again, and you get the statistics in the back of a book in every home that mention Coral Castle. Also 1958 is the year when Carol Lake published the book, or the excerpt in Civil Engineering magazine, just after the name was changed. 1964, Ed's brother Otto passes away. In 1971, a number of Ed's relatives back in Latvia realized that the place is actually probably entitled to them. They didn't even know about the place for a long time. So what they do is file for rights to Rockgate in 1971. Now, in 1982, 1983, this would have been posted. Coral Castle went up for sale. Not long after, Julius Levin sells Rockgate to Irene Barr. Irene Barr appears to be a cousin to Julius Levin. 1984, Maria and Michael from the Florida Division of Archives submit a Register of Historic Places nomination for Rockgate Coral Castle, and later on that year it becomes a National Historic Place officially. In May of this year, the Leedskalnin's family case is dropped, and they do not inherit Rockgate. So from 1971 to 1984, they fought for it, and then it was terminated. 2 years later, the 9-ton gate barren race gives way. 2001, Mike Patton is caught at the Florida airport with a large amount of money. Later on, he admits he is going to buy a book from someone that contains some of Edward Leedskalnin's original writings. The book's name is Magnetic Current, but there's some handwritten notes in it. 2010, does anyone else know? It was 2010 when they took down the sun door, I'm not sure. Then according to a video I saw on YouTube, Miami News, Miami Herald, there was a drone video back in 2016, and there were some glimpses of this other quarry that Ed had that was dug up. And they were putting a path through, and they noticed that there was something, maybe something under there of interest, so they started digging, and they found one of Ed's quarries, along with an object. So they rerouted the path around, and left the object there that they found. I think that might have been found 2016. If anyone can add to this timeline, just comment below. If anyone has any other sources, any of that, let me know, and soon I will put out a much better version, or a longer version of this anyways, in a little more detail. I just wanted to put this out roughly before I spent a ton of time doing the main video. Okay everyone, have a great day. Thanks for all your time.